Well, I guess we are live. For those of us who sign in early or see the replay, again, this podcast thing, and first off, where are my human factors? My wife says to me, Joe, you always focus into the business. You do your phone calls. You talk about this and that. Show some humanistic value. So I'm going to practice this. Hi, Liz. How you doing?
Good morning, Joe. How are you?
Okay, how's the goldfish and the dogs, the husbands, the kids and the husbands, I guess in that order?
Everyone is well. Thank you. Thank you.
That sounds good. Okay, now that I have the human side of this done with, let me
Thank you,
move
Mrs.
on.
Wesley.
See, Lizzy is much more natural. Must be one of those holistic synergy things that she's an expert in. Me, I still got to work at it, and that's, folks, why we're doing these podcasts. That Lizzy has a strong following, has a very stellar reputation, firmly believes in the yin and yang of life. And that's the best I can say it. And to keep it simple for myself, I'm just not getting it. I pride myself being a left-brain, at least didactic, functional human being. And she claims that if we buy into her program, and many people have, that we'll have a healthier lifestyle, we'll have a more productive livelihood phenomena. I'm just not seeing it. So part of this dialogue is to, commercial break. Please, if you're watching us from LinkedIn, from Facebook, from YouTube, please show your comments. I must say, if you're signing in with YouTube, you must sign in through your Google account to make comments, and not just say you like or don't like. Would be nice either way, but help me out on this. I have questions, and in liking it, share it with the people who you believe would gain somehow value in this. Lizzy says it's going to happen. I'm still working at it. That being said, now also what I do, rules of the road here. We don't rehearse this. Lizzy is nice enough to give me topics because I don't know where to get them from. And that's as far as it goes. So everything is spontaneous. Now, that being said, the topic for today, and I have to write it down because it's not in my head. And let's see if I get this right. The topic for today, and this is, by the way, for those who don't know, Lizzy is also not simply a provider of philosophy and style. She's a creator of philosophy and style. So one of the things I asked of her, and she was nice to provide, well, Lizzy, let's learn more about you. And anybody can talk about other authors, other poets, other philosophers, whatever it may be. But what is your substance and who are you in terms of what you're trying to accomplish? So she showed me one of them. And it's easy to pick one because none of them make any sense to me. But this one is show up, do your best, and let it go. Now, and I'll show this again in a little bit. What comes to my mind is years back, I love to play chess, way before Queen's Gambit became a Netflix phenomenon. And I went to a flea market once, and they had a chess set, actually rather nice. I think it was ivory made, a little bit pricey for me. And I says, geez, my budget, I liked it, but my budget just wasn't going to make it happen. But I thought about it. I liked it. I talked to my wife about it. We agreed on the dollar amount at the time. And so I came back like 3 days later, and it was gone. And I asked the owner of the store what happened. He said, well, somebody came in and bought it. So my story here is that, let's go back to this format again. We talk about show up, do your best, and let it go. Well, what happened here, it let me go. I didn't let it go. And the problem is, so it's clear to me that I got it wrong. And so I'm still pissed off. Here I'm talking 30,000 years later about something that, according to Lizzy, I should have let go on. So Lizzy, help me out on this.
Yes, that's the thing, Joe. I mean, it's not about the chess set. It's about what it did. It's about that you clung to that thought over and over.
No, it clung to me. I didn't cling to it.
Well, that's the thing. We're conditioned to think like they say that it takes 5 positive thoughts to replace. I'm sorry. 5 positive thoughts to replace 1 negative thought, or 1 negative event. Say the chess set. Right. So what happens is we keep replaying that over and over and over and over and over again. And what that does is it only causes pain and suffering for ourselves, right? And so when I learned this, I mean, it was life changing I started saying it. I started saying it to my kids when they got on the bus. They had a test. And every time they left their test, I'd say, just let it go. It's over. First of all, it's over. and there's no new creation. There's no growth and repair, I'd say, in thinking about, what went wrong and what you did, if say you didn't do well on the test or in the game, and I remember going to games and some of the kids crying after the game because of something that didn't go right. Mm-hmm. And there is no, again, it's until you let that go, and you focus on the future and what could be in the future. That's where there were the possibilities lie, and rather than just beating yourself up, which, believe me, I was very good at for many years.
Fair enough. But then you may or may not relate to what I'm about to say, because as you're talking, I am listening, and I try to. I think also I believe that firmly. My wife might have doubts about that, but when you say let it go, it reminds me back when I was dating. And way before I met my wife, by the way. That being said, a girl would break up with me. Mm-hmm. And what you're saying is, okay, no, I'm chasing after her. Can't we talk about this some more? Can't we discuss this? Can't we reconsider this? Can we do another go at this? If I made a mistake, let me, no, it's over. Just get out of my life. Let it go. That does not come as a natural flow for me. Now, on the other hand, having said that, you say we'll move to something, quote, positive. In the dating industry, there's a thing called the rebound phenomena, that where the guy, the girl, to break away internally from the dump syndrome, they'll go jump on somebody else. And that maybe that's a good way of saying it, but they'll find somebody else like within 2 days to commit to, I guess, to disengage and re-engage. But isn't that... I'm confused.
Yeah, well, I mean, that is the case in a lot of things. But what happens a lot of times then, unfortunately, is they look for the same kind of person that had had same qualities that were wrong with the relationship that they had before, and they bring it into the next relationship. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that from when you were saying you wanted to maybe go back and try to make it work, but you don't go back and try to make it work with the same things that that were wrong in the first place. You go back in with a new approach, with a new way of being. So unless you really let it go and focus on becoming more of the person that would be the kind of person that elevated potentially partner would be looking for, mm-hmm. you're gonna keep looking for the same things. You're gonna look for that evidence, because it's almost like your body's conditioned to look for the same relationship again. To look for the same partner or boss or friend who's going to treat you badly, until you decide to have a better future in your mind first, seeing it, again, it's that visualizing a better future. That's where that, and being grateful, again, gratitude again is one of those elevated emotions that is going to help you stay in that higher vibration, if you will.
Okay. Well, that's intriguing. I have to say, and I hate to say this, she actually got me thinking, folks. Mm-hmm. And that being said, what I'm hearing, if I'm hearing it correctly, I'm going to ask, when you say let it go, it's a sense of let go of the moment, but not let go of the idea. And the key is to come back with a modified, hopefully better idea. Is that what you're trying to say here? Am I missing that?
Open to new learning, open to new possibilities. Mm-hmm. Letting go of they did that to me, that you're the victim. And because if you're just staying in that, it's only going to cause you to be sick and not feel good about yourself. And that does not move the needle into the positive, into something better, opening for, So, for example, yesterday, I had a very interesting day yesterday. A lot of things went wrong. A lot of things I did not go. I had an interview with someone. It didn't record. I have to go and ask her again to redo the interview. Mm-hmm. I missed a meeting, I've written it down for today. And I had to literally, at the end of the day, I was like, I had to release any of those feelings, because I didn't want to bring them into my sleep, and I didn't want to bring them into this interview.
Well, I'm going to interrupt you on that. It wasn't that you didn't want to bring it on, that I offer such a great, grandiose phenomena for you. In itself, it just helped things get going.
Oh, it's just so set up so beautiful. We got the purple on the galaxy.
There you go.
The universe has our back. Yes. But even this morning in my meditation, I did my meditation where I literally shake off anything I want to release. so that I
Is that like a wet dog shaking off
yeah,
water after
yeah.
they
Yeah, and it really helps. It
I hear
clears.
that. I hear the dog say, "Yeah, that's the way it goes."
They know. Yes, we can learn from our animals for sure. So yeah, and with I mean, my kids know that literally I'll say, show up, because first you have to show up.
Mm-hmm.
How do you show up? You want to think about how you show up. Doing your best. It's always, you might do your best, might be your best this day.
Mm-hmm.
The next day might be your best a different way. That's what I do in my yoga teaching. I'll say, wherever your body is today,
Mm-hmm.
do the best you can. Move to your capacity, right?
Right.
And again, we could be more flexible one day than the next day, and that's okay. It's what it's just do your best, and then again, let go of any expectations, let go of like thinking it should have been another way, because it was the way it was.
Okay. Well, I hear that, but another example, and by the way, folks, every time when I look down, I make a note, because if I don't write it, it doesn't stick in my head intuitively, so I have to record it. So my most recent write down is letting it go concept. Okay, I'm hammering a nail into the wall to hang up a picture, and I, Joe Wesley, hit my thumb instead of the nail.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to blame the nail. I'm going to blame the hammer. I'm going to blame the picture. I'm going to cuss, maybe or not, for the next 2.5 hours about now my sore, swollen thumb. I can't let my thumb go. It's the same thumb I had before. It's the same other hand that hit the hammer. I hung on to that moment for at least a good 2.5 hours in my recall now. Mm-hmm. So how does one you make it sound so easy? Well, just let it go. And there must be some steps here that one goes through to help that happen.
I mean, I think it's consciously becoming aware of the thought that you're blaming the nail and the hammer, which,
Well, I'm aware of my swollen, sore thumb. That's my awareness factor.
That is what is. That is what is. And the blaming does nothing for you. It just takes your power away. So it's, again, like, you just, rather than blaming, you just, that's not going to help your healing. You're going to heal in the way that you're going to heal. And the best way you're going to heal is with out having the stress response and being angry and being, in those lower, well, I call them the lower centers. We want to be in the ones of higher centers. This is what it is. I mean, I cut my finger recently, and I didn't yell. I didn't yell at the can. I just, my husband was like, wow, you have grown, because this was not me many years ago. When I was sick, I would get upset and I was mad at myself. And now it's like, this is, we don't heal in those places. We only suffer.
Well, I hear that. Okay, so let me ask you this then. Assuming what you say works, for those of us where it's not intuitive, what's the first step I should have taken after Joe hit Joe's thumb?
Mm-hmm. First you take care of it physically, put it under ice, and you
all right. Well, let's say second step then.
If you start blaming you need to stop and be aware of where your thinking is going, because it's probably going in a past conditioned thought pattern of poor me, I always do this, I suck, and
you must have lived a life also. We get that totally.
And rather just saying, okay, maybe this was a sign that when I hang a picture, I need to slow down first. Mm-hmm. I need to slow and flipping it, almost like flipping it on its head and reframing it into something positive. I mean, it's really like I think the thought process is called like flipping it on its head, flipping the thought, and maybe being grateful that you didn't actually break your thumb. Yeah. So it's saying, oh, wow, I'm really lucky, because this could have been a lot worse. That's kind of what I said with my finger. This could have been a lot worse.
I see.
And in that it doesn't. You don't end up feeling bad. You're just like, this is kind of what it is, and it's gonna heal when it heals, and next time maybe I'll do it better again. So you showed up, you do your best, you let it go, and then maybe the next time you're going to be more mindful when you approach that activity.
I hear that. Well, it comes to my mind when I had my different type of business. I had a secretary in the office, and she was fairly new to my staff, and I was providing health care. And what happened was I had gotten a paper cut, and I remember turning to her and I asked her, do we have any alcohol? because I want an alcohol pad to cleanse my wound.
Mm-hmm.
And she began running around, opening up every cabinet in the office. And I'm saying, why is she doing that? And I won't mention her name, but it occurred to me that I suspect her husband would come home, had an awful day, and to let it go, he wanted a drink. I need a drink. So she's rushing to accommodate his need to let it go through the alcohol syndrome. Is that one of your techniques of letting it go? Do you have a different philosophy style of approach?
Wait, you mean as far as having a drink? Or?
Well, no, the example here is that guys in particular, when there's a stressful moment, to let it go, they gobble down something.
Right.
They go to the bar, they get their shots, and I guess in their world they're letting it go.
Yeah, really. Yeah, that's just creating a band-aid over it. So it's not really letting it go. It's not. It's just replacing it with something that's not so positive for them. So I would suggest more of an approach of going for a walk around the block, or consciously saying, I'm going to enter my house and be present for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Without the drink. And I'm not saying that, that if it was so rich, if they're having a drink out of a ritual where they're going to have a sip of something they love and it's a pleasurable thing,
right?
That's another thing. But
sure.
If they're doing it to get themselves out of feeling a certain way, it doesn't work. It doesn't work for the long term. It's not sustainable. It's not healthy. And I do not recommend that.
Well, I hear that, but that's a lot of mental exercise and discipline for the moment. Of saying, well, let me think. I've had this moment. My thumb is throbbing beyond belief. Let me think of something positive that's going to take me away from the moment. Is there?
If your thumb is throbbing and and it's inflamed, and you need to take an Advil or something that's going to bring down the inflammation, right? But taking a drink, which only causes more inflammation, is not going to be that helpful for your healing.
Right. Well, that's more extreme, I guess. But I guess, is there a trigger or a key or catalyst for those of us who aren't natural for this that we can take as our first baby step to move it in the direction you're describing?
I would say slow down and think about, is this pattern coming from just this condition? We're conditioned into thinking, like, repeating again the negative loop. Negative thoughts are like Velcro, they say, and positive thoughts are like, Teflon, just slide away. So we need to practice reconditioning ourselves to allow more growth and repair, restore, rest and restore. That's where our possibilities lie.
I understand. Well, folks, so once again, what we're talking about here is it's a matter of technique, it's a matter of style, and show up, do your best, and let it go. This is a Lizzy Gabor quote, not some obscure person who we may or may not know about. And I want to thank you, Lizzy, for making that available. And I'm still not any clearer about it, but I kind of hear what you're saying, syndrome. For those that have thoughts, concepts, difference of opinion to add on value, please feel free to comment and or quote back to us your philosophy. And remember to share also, because I really do want to get better at this.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Lizzy, for your time and your involvement on this. And folks, we will be signing off until next time. I'm looking forward to your comments.
Be well, everyone.